I knew that you needed it,
Right.
but I could steal it away and kind of slow you down
Right.
to allow me to catch up in maybe the next hand.
Mm-hmm.
And I did that in one of the rounds that we played.
Yes, you did.
And
to brutal effectiveness.
successfully slowed you down
Yeah.
to win the game at the end.
Yeah. It's such an interesting dynamic with the fact that almost all the cards are known. And there becomes a deduction element too.
Mm-hmm.
When you play the first round, since you can see what the next couple rounds are going to be, when your opponent doesn't win a card that you think they could win, like, I'm pretty sure she's got the green 4. Why didn't she play the green 4 and win that card?
Right.
And then you start thinking, like, well, does she not have the green 4? I'm like, am I going to be able to snake a card that I didn't think I was going to be able to get? Am I going to be able to win one? And, and so there's that bluff, too, of maybe you don't win the thing that you can win to throw the other person off, so later you can win one you didn't think you were going to be able to win.
Exactly.
And back your way into stuff. Sometimes the brute force method in this game doesn't really work. You know what I mean?
That's true.
You have to back your way around things because it's almost zero sum in the fact that you know what all the cards are. That 2 cards not being in the game is just enough to create just enough uncertainty.
Yeah, to get that little bit of doubt in there. Like,
right.
Well, maybe he doesn't have it because it's one of the cards that's not in there.
Right. 4 cards would be too much.
Mm-hmm.
No cards would be not enough. 2's like the magic number. It is just enough. It's just the right percentage of cards in the game where you're like, but she can't. She's got to have it. It can't be that card. Why did she not play it?
You were completely exasperated the last round.
That does not happen to me in games.
No,
it doesn't. There's not many games we play when I don't know what I want to be doing when my turn comes. Mm-hmm. And this is probably the game where I've sat there the longest, just looking at my cards, going like, I can't make any of these choices. I said in our last game, I was like, I don't want to make a choice. It felt more punishing than even other games with like larger risk reward factors.
Which also, I think what we should bring up is the turn order.
Sure.
I find the turn order is very important as to who goes first.
Please talk about it.
Because I find that if you're the first player that has to make a decision, you kind of tip your hand to what it is you're going for. Or are you?
Right.
So, but you're putting down that first card, which gets your opponent to think, okay, is that the card that she's going for?
Yep.
Or is she bluffing me here?
Right.
And trying to block me out of this card? Or,
Oh,
right?
Yeah, and then you almost outthink yourself. You're like, well, if I do this, she's going to think I did the thing, and I don't want her to think I did the thing. So
when we first started playing it, I found it difficult to be the first player. I found it easier to analyze after you made your decision as to what I should do.
Right.
And after playing it a couple times, I could see the benefit of both.
Yep.
But it does change how you strategically analyze it. And there's a lot of strategy in this little game.
Yeah. And I suppose I don't want people to think that this is the kind of game that will cause major analysis paralysis, because it's not. This game should not be taking you more than, on average, 10, 15 minutes. Now, we had a game before that took us like 25. But that game was ridiculously tense. Mm-hmm. And they're not normally like that. Normally, they're much faster affairs. So even if you lose, even if you're taking your time, you still have ample opportunity to play this game multiple times in succession, because it's not real long.
That's true. Most of the games that we've played, it was an average of 2 turns.
2 sets.
2 sets.
Yep.
That we determine a winner. But
right.
The last one, and I think it's a sign of us understanding the game better.
Yep.
Both of us understanding the game and the possibilities so much better, that it took 4 turns, and it was a very, very...
Oh, it was brutal.
Very, very difficult.
It was wonderful.
Such difficult decisions to make in that last round, because the card that both of us needed
Reds.
red. We needed reds, and it was in the last set.
Yeah, and the round before, none of them came out. So when you could have had a victory,
we couldn't because
it didn't come
red
out.
because red wasn't there, and then round number 4 comes along, and red is in the last setting, and I'm looking at my cards, going, well, I know I can take the red. But there's a good chance that he can take the red too, and we'll be tied, and then it's based on the tiebreaker.
Right.
So I actually took a risk and ended up winning by getting the most water tokens.
Yep.
And kind of bluffed my way through that.
Yeah.
Because you didn't think I was going to do that.
No, and to me that shows the strength of the game. We talk a lot about games that we don't like games that show everything they have on the first play. And David and I even talked about this in the interview. I'm not sure which half of the show that is, but this is a game, the first couple times we played this, I was like, I don't know. It feels like it's missing something. And then I called my buddy Jeff and asked him, what are we doing wrong? And he started explaining things, and I was like, oh. And as soon as we played it, like with a better idea what we were doing, we talked it over and was like, oh yeah, that's great. We were sort of, when I said brute force doesn't work, we were brute forcing the game, and it's not as good that way. This one requires some nuanced playing to really,
you have to finesse it a little bit.
and then it pops, and you're like, oh. And it's variable. I like the way the cards come out different every time.
Yes,
like you were just talking about in our game, really makes the game feel fresh and different, even set to set during the same game.
Right.
So, you never know if what you're going to need comes out. And it's, the variability of setup makes the replay value in this game incredibly high.
Yes, and you can play several games back to back.
Sure.
And they'll all be different.
Yeah.
And we played 3 games back to back just recently, and every game was so different from the other.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a wonderful thing about it. Sometimes you'll have lopsided beatings. Sometimes you'll have those longer drawn out games. But even if you have the lopsided game, it's quick. Just play it again.
Exactly.
Like 101. It's quick. Just do it again.
Right.
So, I mean, if the folks haven't been able to tell by now, we think this game's pretty awesome. Go on, give it a rating, Horsey Avenger.
I'm giving it an 8.
An 8.
Yes.
Because
it is one of my favorite short games that really keeps me engaged and bakes my noodle in the strangest, when I really don't expect it. Like, I totally did not expect to be that high, Squeaky. She's squeezing her way in here. I did not expect that much strategy and analysis to go into that.
Agreed.
When we first started playing.
Yep.
And now, especially playing it 3 times back to back, it's like, why haven't we played this more often? I don't know.
I don't know either. I'd go as high as 9.
Really?
Yeah. It causes the most delicious tension I think I've played in any game besides Battle Line. As far as a 2-player heads up. A lot. Yeah. Battle Line fills me with the same kind of angst that this game does. And it's the really good kind of angst. It's not like my daily angst of just being alive. This is this is board gaming angst, which is the right kind of like, like I don't know what to do. I get so Twitter pated trying to make a decision that I have no idea, and every move feels like it's the best move and also the most incorrect move you could make. So I don't know. To me, that's perfect, and I adore the presentation of this. I really think this is just such a beautiful game. As much as I very much liked 101, and I still do, I think this is a better game. I think 101 is a little more accessible rules-wise. It's a little easier to grok the concept of this. It's a little more straightforward. This game's not straightforward, but the presentation is absolutely gorgeous. Playtime is right. Yes. The amount of game that is squeezed into this, or I guess out of this little package, is almost incomparable. So if you like what you've gotten from Grail games so far, this is a no-brainer. If you're new to Grail games and you want a game that is definitely different and this game is different. There's nothing that plays quite like this one. No. It's a beautiful elegant design. I'll use the most overused word in board gaming, but I think it's very accurate. This is one definitely worth checking out, and the price is right on this thing.
Mm-hmm.
So 2 thumbs up from the Horsey Avenger as she punches her microphone stand. I'm going to leave that in because it's awesome. And then 1 squeak from Squeaky because she's squeaky. Okay, Horsey Avenger, we're done.
We are.
Shorter episode this week. It didn't feel like it, but
I know.
We packed a lot of. We're like the Matcha of podcasts. We pack content in a small package.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. You just really just kind of squeezed that out of your noggin.
Yeah. That's really all I got.
Mm-hmm.
So on that note, I think we'll tap out because we have WrestleMania coming tomorrow.
I know.
So we need to prep for WrestleMania.
We kind of did today.
We did. We watched the NXT special from Friday night. So we're all set there. But I don't know. Let's call it good for this episode since we're going to be coming back probably weekly. That's the plan.
I know. This is fun. I've forgotten how much fun this is.
Right?
Yeah.
I know. It's kind of nice.
Yeah.
It's like putting on an old pair of shoes.
Yeah. Very comfy.
So hit us up on the Twitter at Cardboard Insane and at Horsey_Avenger and send Squeaky dog treats. But they've like only ones made of like rice and chicken and pumpkin.
No soy, no wheat.
Nothing that tastes good. No pork, no fish. She can have beef, so if you want to send her ground beef, that's fine.
She likes her steak treats.
She does like her steak treats.
And her duck treats, it's just strips of duck, which the vegan in me is completely repulsed by her dietary choices.
I'm completely repulsed by Squeaky anyway.
No.
All right, let's feed Squeaky, call it good, go play some games, and we will be back next week with the next episode. Maybe we can get my dad to play Circus Flocati.
Oh, I'm sure we could.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's game. Bye.
Bye.